So finally I've reached Security Breach. This game appears to be the beginning of a new phase in the lore of the Freddy's franchise, with the Fazbear Frights and VR saga basically being the step between the original lore and this new phase of lore. As we progress through the events of the game, we have to keep in mind that there are 4 main animatronics plus a 5th side animatronic in this game, and throughout the course of the game we find collectibles that are based on these characters, and each one of these 5 characters actually has correlation to a certain aspect of the lore which is gradually unlocked as we play the game. Sun and Moon give us the Vanessa story arc. Chica gives us what appears to be the story arc revolving around the staff and the staff bots. Monte gives us the story arc surrounding the disappearance of the Glamrock Bonnie animatronic, and Roxy appears to give us connections to the Afton plotline that is going on in the background of the story. Funtime Freddy, however, I am not entirely sure what his connection is, but as we progress I'm sure this might become more apparent to me at some point. Now the game begins with Glamrock Freddy suffering from some form of malfunction while on stage, leading into him being put into safe mode by maintenance. Now, as Gregory is found to be hiding within him, it's entirely possible that Gregory, being patient 46, is the one that infected him with a virus in the first place. And as we see from the rucksack found just outside of outside of Glamrock Freddy's room, that he was indeed meant to be performing at a party, and this incident occurred on the same night, so therefore the duffel bags are implied to have been left behind on this same night, which will become important later on in the night as we uncover more lore from these duffel bags. Now when Freddy attempts to scan Gregory, he finds that his guest profile is unknown to him. However, in the deleted voice lines and script for this scene, Freddy was going to say that he recognises him from somewhere. Most likely, as we see in the CDs that we gather in the game, he is recognising him from the investigation being performed by the staff into Gregory's activities here. We also find that Vanessa has cut off Freddy from the network, and so he can't call for help, and Gregory knows that she has done this specifically to Freddy, and so it kind of implies to us that for some reason Gregory was doing something to Freddy with the virus, and we don't ever actually get any explanation as to what he was attempting to do before the events take place in this game. So Freddy gives Gregory a Faz watch in order to communicate with him, and aims to get him out before midnight lockdown occurs. At this point we are treated to evidence Fazbears are still their good old corporate self. As a disclaimer implies, they still routinely try to cover up possible incidents.
Please make your way to the front of the building, where you will be given novelty glasses, a voucher for 1 free soda refill, and where you will sign a legal disclaimer releasing us of all liability for anything that might have happened during your visit.
We start the game in Rockstar Row, where we see a museum of old relics and also the cutouts from the VR game, implying that they were filmed in real life or created later after the game's release as merchandise. Behind the Shadow Bonnie cutout we find the Pizzaplex shirt, which seems to be symbolic. The Pizzaplex is the new incarnation of the agony that Shadow Bonnie is intended to personify. As we enter the utility tunnels in order to reach the main door in time, we are treated to several locked gates which we would later be able to unlock in the game, which reveal a lot of lore, and we will cover that at a later point. Now a lot of these hidden gates also entail lore connected to Sun and Moon and therefore Vanessa, and interestingly enough, the only other thing that we find down here as a collectible is the Foxy plush, and as we come to figure out here, Foxy, as far as I'm aware in the franchise, represents Mike, and him being discarded out here while Sun and Moon, who represent Vanessa, are currently more prominent within the facility, would seem to imply that thematically Afton has replaced Mike as his puppet with Vanessa, and this could be elaborated on, as many believe that Foxy was at some point an animatronic in the Pizzaplex, predominantly in the Kids Cove area, which links through to the Kids Play area where Sun and Moon resides. And interestingly enough, there is a lot of evidence in Sun and Moon's area that connects to the design being similar to the area that Foxy is meant to represent. And we do know from the Pizzaplex novels that Sun and Moon were not the original animatronic of this area. And so thematically it does make sense that Mike, represented by Foxy, has been replaced by Vanessa, represented by Sun and Moon. While in the tunnels, Gregory is taken to a first aid station by Freddy as he detects he is injured. However, the unused files for this part of the game reveals that he actually detects that he is cut badly, and this is possibly in relation to Vanny hunting him, as we do see in one of the teasers that she has a large knife, and therefore Gregory being cut badly and bleeding is possibly because she attacked him with the knife and is hunting him with it. However, as we see in game, the knife no longer seems to be part of her character design, potentially because it is not a very child-friendly game choice, so that does seem to make sense why that was cut. Interestingly, when Vanessa catches Freddy at this point, she does not escort him back to his room as he claims that she would. However, it does seem, as the game had went through multiple rewrites, that this may have originally been the intended plot, as shortly after this, Freddy loses battery and then we can't use him for the next stretch of the game. So it's entirely possible that this is actually meant to be what happened. He was meant to get sent back to his room at this point. The only other random Easter egg that seems to exist within the staff tunnel area is the fact that we find several staff bots standing in a circle around one broken one, staring at it. And as far as I can tell so far, I haven't got an explanation for this, but I am putting it on the noteboard because at some point it is going to be part of a bigger story that I'm going to actually have to figure out where it goes. Now, with Freddy low on power, Gregory is forced to go on alone. We find a note that reveals that Chica has been, for some reason, eating garbage, which is extremely costly to repair and detrimental to the staff's pay now at this point. This is the first in a long line of staff removals that we see throughout the game, which seems to be connected to wherever we find Chica. There are even posters in this area that are promoting that staff bots are just better employees, as 100% of fatal accidents involve humans, and so basically they're implying, why don't we just remove the human staff for robots? Gregory finally reaches the foyer, but is just too late as the shutters close, trapping him inside. Freddy guides him to find an entry pass in order to find alternative escape routes, however using the entry pass to get into the foyer's area. The note found on the fountain here directs us to enter the Faz pad on the second floor, where we find a note regarding strange noises found within the vents, as well as a Chica plush implying the lore here is related to the staff storyline in some way. From here we descend into the customer services area, where we find another note which references someone called Dave, which is possibly just a cheeky callback to the Silver Eyes novels, as it doesn't seem to have any other lore relevance. We learn that the pass we have needs to be hacked, and to hack the machine we need to get a daycare pass. We then need to go to the Glamrock Gifts area, where we get a Mr. Hippo magnet that is used to hack the machine in order to create our daycare pass. Now, Patient 46 is notably meant to be a hacker, so this does seem to again point towards the fact that Gregory is Patient 46. And we also see the magnet used to do this is one of many that we can collect within the game, And so this does seem to possibly imply that at some point in the game's development, collecting the different magnets would allow us to do some form of hacking with various machines within the Pizzaplex. Most notably, I believe this would have been the arcade machines. Gregory heads into the daycare area, where we see adverts for Moon's sleep candy that seems to imply that they are in some way drugging kids, I believe. There is also a note in the bathroom area here regarding night terrors, which is a hint at the horror that we are about to face within the daycare. We meet Sun and take the security level 1 badge, which triggers a power out that makes Sun enter his night mode before becoming the horrific Moon figure. To restore power, we need to activate the generators hidden in the play structures, again showing us that Fazbear's safety is not a priority at all, and this is expanded on later in the Pizzaplex novels. When power is restored, we see Sun ejects Gregory and calls for security, summoning all the suits to the daycare, allowing Freddy, however, to aid in his escape. In the gift shop area here, we discover a Fredbear's poster, one of the few that exist within the game, and it seems to imply a connection to the Afton plot whenever we find them, implying that the area we are in currently has ties to Afton, aka Sun and Moon do. Interestingly enough, elsewhere within the party rooms of the daycare area, we find a plush baby and a Glamrock Freddy figurine, which are odd because, as I've said before, I have yet to figure out what exactly the Freddy items lore area of importance is, but also the fact that we have a baby plush, as Baby is not a character that we encounter in this game, but this seems to imply that she is in some way pulling the strings or part of the story. And we also get a note about recycling pizza by a concerned parent, which is a joke based on both the Food Fury episode done by MatPat and I believe also the real life concern that pizza places actually do this as common practice. After fleeing the daycare, we find that the power actually goes out every hour during the night and allows Moon to roam the facility freely. While hiding in a recharge pod, we see Vanny heading into the daycare, and she causes vision distortions as she passes, something that was noted when she was pictured with Gregory in the Pizzaplex in the CDs. Freddy notably cannot see her as well. Gregory seems confused at her appearance, claiming what was that, but he knows her surely based on the encounters that we have seen her having with him in the CDs so far. And we know it was Vanessa that he met in the Pizzaplex in the recordings, as it couldn't have been Afton as he is deep underground at this point, and also we know that bunny ears were visible in the picture. When Gregory comments that Freddy could not possibly have seen the dancing rabbit lady that just passed, Freddy drops our next lore nugget clue of one of our continuing storylines within this game. He notes that there is no rabbit at the Pizzaplex, not anymore, implying something strange has occurred regarding the Bonnie animatronic. Now, during the 1 AM hour of the game, there are potentially different routes that you could take. However, logically, for the progression of the events in the game, it makes sense that the route we take is the one that takes us to El Chips and into the Superstar Arcade. In this area we find a Chica balloon and a Monty plush, and also a note by a guard regarding leadances to get into certain areas, which makes sense as the Chica artifacts seem to relate to staff related issues within the Pizzaplex. And also the Monty plush here is interesting, as we do later find out in one of the notes that Glamrock Body wandered quite frequently throughout the facility before he disappeared. Now, in the prize counter slash East Arcade area, we find a arcade game that features a glitch trap on it, known as Glitchy Maze, and we find that there's also a note here that mentions the Chica arcade cabinet won't turn off for some reason, even without a power source. and this seems to imply that the arcades were indeed intended to play a larger role in the lore. And the fact that we have the glitch trap game here implies that for some reason interacting with these arcade cabinets was potentially maybe a way to stop glitch trap. Within the prize counter area we do find a Monty mask as well as a Freddy ice cream. Again, the importance of why these items are here is not fully clear to me yet, but the Monty mask implies there's some form of importance regarding Monty and Glamrock Bonnie in this area, and the Freddy ice cream just seems to represent more of the Freddy lore, which I am yet to uncover the true meaning of. While attempting to leave the prize counter area, Gregory is captured by Vanessa and is taken to the lost and found area where he is detained.